Hello. Hi, hello. Hi. How are you? It's Friday. You guys hear me okay? I think you guys can hear me okay, right? Hi. Hi, Tano. Hi, Fudge. Hi, Rage. Hi, guys. How are you guys doing? Thank you. What'd you do? What'd you do that I owe you? Hi, little smooch. Mwah. Jesus Christ, Tano, you're doing everything. And a stretch, what the fuck? Stim, meow. Hi, Breasty. Hi. Mwah. Hi. You guys are going a little crazy. In a good way. I need a stretch, I got. Hi. I'm here, I'm back. I didn't pass out stretching. Like, I know some people do when they're like working out and they stretch. How are you guys doing though? How's your Friday? Hi. It's Friday. Honestly, I'm really tired. Like, I know you guys made a joke a couple days ago, like I'm always tired. No, I'm not. Usually I'm just chill. Today I'm actually tired. I don't know why. I just am. So who knows how today's gonna go, honestly. Ugh. That's loud. Looming. I like that emote. I'm gonna keep it for you guys. Fat ass Friday, fat tip Friday. I think fat ass is nice for little faff, whereas fat tit is kind of hard to say, you know. Anyway, hi. I'm here doing fine today, chilling, working. Okay, I'm sorry you're working, but it's good you're chilling. I woke up today to somebody mowing the lawn at like 7:30 in the morning, which, you know, fair. Not the worst time. I just wasn't expecting it. So anyway, I woke up, got myself some breakfast, and I checked streamers that I follow. Sure enough, a bunch of them were going live at the exact same time. Like, I'm talking about like people that don't usually have the same stream schedule. They were all going live, and I was like, that's kind of sus, isn't it? Why is everybody going live at the same fucking time? But sure enough, click the stream. It was Final Fantasy 14 Fan Fest, which is a big deal for 14 if you don't know anything, because that's where they start teasing and showing off stuff for their new expansions. Because this convention, I guess, only happens once every 2 years, roughly, depending on, you know, time frame for stuff. So yeah, it was fun. I don't play the game anymore, but it was cool to see in case I wanted to get back into it. Working on real edits for a friend. Ooh, nice. I should get back on like editing shorts. I just do it through the YouTube, like the YouTube fucking function on my phone. Banger, an actual banger alert. Anyway, yeah, I watched the full 14 thing. The streamers I were watching went absolutely batshit crazy for everything that was on screen. But at the same time, there was a lot of really good news, really good details, really good teasers. So honestly, there's probably a chance I go back to playing myself, because based upon what they said, they're making the game a lot more like, I guess you could say, casual friendly in a sense. And by casual friendly, I mean people with fucking jobs. So like, they're trying to cut out on or lower burnout, which, if you might expect, MMO burnout is real, specifically because most MMOs are ancient and operate on the assumption that you can play the game every fucking day. So any MMO that has begun transitioning to a weekly system rather than a daily system is good, because that means that, hey, you only have 2, 3, maybe 4 days a week to play and not all 7. You can still, you know, still keep up with content that you need. I think that's nice. So like, there's a good chance I might get back to playing. I just need to find people to play with, which unfortunately, the people that I used to play with, like, this is no shade being thrown at them, this is just quite literally what happened. They just abandoned me. What I mean is, we hadn't played for like, I don't know, a month, maybe 2 together, because it's just life was happening. And then all of a sudden, I was told by one of them, hey, yeah, we're not on the same server anymore. I'm like, huh? Like, yeah, we moved. I'm like, oh, okay. So why didn't you guys want to tell me? He's like, oh, I don't know. I was like, I don't know, we thought it wasn't important. I'm like, yeah, like, you guys were the reason I was playing this game, but okay. So like, that kind of just killed my mood to want to play the game. So then eventually I kept playing on my own, and then I kind of got bored, because playing alone kind of sucks. Yeah, I mean, it became a whole thing because like one of them literally introduced me to the game, and the other one were just friends of theirs that were just like into the same game. But like one of them literally asked me, and like I was like they were the reason I was even playing, like just to try to, you know, spend a little bit more time with them. And then yeah, after like 2 years of being just in the same server, not necessarily the same like guild as you might think of it, but yeah, they just fucking left. It's like, oh, the incentives to move were so good, and I'm like, okay, do you guys not want to tell me so I could try moving maybe? And they're like, eh. So I was like, all right, cool, fuck it, I'm not moving. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, why the fuck would I move when like the people that I'm following probably won't tell me if they fucking move again? Like, fuck you, nah, I'm not going to. Beg me to play such a service stop playing. That's something that happens with a lot of MMOs, but I hear 14 specifically because 14 has a really big burnout situation, which, as I mentioned, they're literally trying to address. I think it's with the next expansion, or not, maybe not even the next expansion. Might even start next week because they're showing off next expansion, which is like almost a year away. But then they also talked about things like a week away, so I forget what time frame they're on. But like, yeah, they're switching to a more casual friendly progression system, but that doesn't mean they're making things easier. Like, they're making outside progression easier, but still keeping like the dungeons and stuff the same difficulty, which I think is good. Like, legitimately, I think that's just a good change. Like, keep the content as hard as it's been for the people that want to do that, but for the majority of your player base that's just going to be playing casually, just make it easy for them to, you know, to get all the best gear or whatever they need to try that harder content. I think that's nice. Ugh. But yeah, I don't know. Also, for those of you guys that haven't played it before, you might have seen the giant meme regarding critically acclaimed with Heaven's Ward expansion for free up to level 70. That's actually being upgraded to the expansion after Heaven's Ward. Is it Heaven's Ward? Yeah. No, 2 after Heaven's Ward, actually. Oh shit, you're actually getting 2 more expansions. They're adding the 2 expansions after the Heaven's Ward in the meme, which is up to level 80 for free. So you could literally play everything that was released prior to 2021 for free. I don't know when that starts. I think that might start like next week. That might start in 8.0 only, but like, you get a lot of fucking content for free now if you just want to try the game out. And it's not like a month trial or anything. It is until you finish the main story of that expansion. That is a fuck ton of content. So like, you can play for like 3 months, however long it takes you to beat the story. If you want to do it, take it slow, and it's still free. You don't got to pay a fucking dime. Mention the dollar combo system for Street Fighter 6. No, people are being very mistaken, misleading, just misinformation. They're changing the combos. They're changing the combat system. Like, you know, MMOs, right? You have a hotbar, you have skills that you place on the bar. Like, if you've seen like a World of Warcraft screen, you've seen a Final Fantasy 14 screen, it's the exact same hotbars. You put skills down, you can press them in whatever order. There's an optimal order, obviously. They are changing that from that. Therefore, for not explaining it properly, they did just not in like the main presentation. They said, hey, we're working on this. We're gonna show it off in the event floor after this is over. So like, people just needed to go. There might have been a streamer streaming. They might have been their own stream showing it off. But it's at the event floor they're showing it off. Otherwise, you just have to wait. But from what I saw and I understood, they're essentially changing it from, let's say you have 3 buttons to press, right? Button 1, then button 2, then button 3, right? In any MMO, that's 3 separate buttons, right? Buttons 1, 2, and 3. What's essentially happening is they're introducing a new system you can play where buttons 1, 2, and 3 can all be pressed on the same hotkey. So let's say you have it hotkeyed button 1. You press button 1, it translates into button 2 like on its own. Like if you know like hotkeys or like essentially macros in other MMOs, it's kind of like that. So like they're essentially just reducing button bloat, which I think is great, especially considering that they are actively making sure that people that play on controller have the option to play on controller, because if they keep adding buttons, they're gonna run out of, or skills, they're gonna run out of buttons on controller. I think they technically already have. Made the mistake of buying all the DLCs, pay for subbing, though they've gone to the past the free stuff. Yeah, I mean, damn it, I was gonna say you could technically like just start a new account, but that's also bad because you've already paid for it. I think you might be able to ask like their support if you could still play for free up to whatever expansion. Because something tells me they should still allow it. Like, hey, you could play up to Shadowbringers for free. Like your sub doesn't start for a while. I don't know. You could ask them about it, and if not, I'd be like, hey, can I just get a refund and just keep playing the free trial? Fuck it. Ask. But yeah, like the reason why they might not have explained it properly to like the main event, that like the main presentation they were showing off, is because they had a lot of fucking shit to talk about. Plus it's also still technically in development, so like they probably just didn't want to be like, this is how it's gonna be, and have people misinterpret how it is as is when it's probably gonna change. So instead they're like, hey, you can play the old way, we've introduced the new way that we're going to start balancing things around, so get used to it. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think like the biggest thing that a lot of people were really excited for was if you know very little about MMOs, don't forget the end game of a lot of MMOs, fashion. Also, I see you contributed. Thank you very much. So fashion is a very big thing in a lot of MMOs, a lot of games, right? Not just MMOs. You know, fashion souls is a thing. They're introducing more customization, which people fucking love. Go fucking crazy for. But yeah, no, a lot of the things they're changing was cool. They showed off the new expansion, which I'm not going to talk about because, you know, people don't play, they don't really care. But I'm like, I just want to talk about it because I saw it and I'm like, it's pretty cool. They're changing things to make it casual. Maybe I'll play it. Maybe I'll play it on stream. I don't fucking know. Because I haven't played in like maybe close to a year now, maybe a little more. So I have a lot of content that I'm missing out on. Because remember, I did play it on stream a little bit at the start. I think I just did like dailies and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. If you guys would like to see that, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe that's not my style of content. Don't know. Anyway. Should we get the game in? I think we should get the game in. We have a lot of Mario Galaxy to do. I gotta shut off the music too. Hang on, go over here. Click the button, thank you. Shut up, Super Mario Odyssey music. Oh yeah, I also had Pocopia that I was playing. Not today, but I was. Do this, do that. Do these. Let me know how the audio is. It should be good as always, but never know. I don't trust Windows ever. We're at 81 stars. Sorry, I get nerdy when I talk about games that like I know even a little bit. What's up with the blink emote? That's a really cute blink emote. You guys think I should have more like derpy emotes? I feel like I should have more derpy emotes. Here's a letter. Give me my fucking mushrooms. Thank you. Are we done yet? Where's the garden at? Where's the garden? I don't know where to go, so if you guys know how to go places, Feel free to tell me. I don't remember where the garden is. Is the garden at the center of the universe? That's not it, right? Oh no! Excuse me. There we go. There's the engine room. Where is the garden? Is it further up? It's the engine room. Is this the way to the garden? Have I been to this house? Hold on, I want to go to this house. Have I been there? What is this? Have I been here? If not, I need to talk to these pink lumas. Oh, I have been here. Never mind. We're good. We're okay. But wish there was a fast travel. Honestly, there's a mushroom down there. Anyway, I just realized something. Is anybody gonna go watch the Michael Jackson movie? I've kind of been thinking about it, honestly. Fuck. If you're wondering why I'm asking, it just released on theaters today. It's a documentary. It's a biopic, which is a documentary, but it doesn't actually follow like the real person. It's a documentary in the same way like Straight Outta Compton was a documentary, in the sense that it really wasn't, but it told the story. A lot of people weren't alive when he was, and that terrifies me. Michael Jackson? What is this? What the fuck? What the fuck am I doing here? Hi, Rosalina. What the fuck are you doing here, too? Hi. Is this like a new cutscene? This planet. It's very dear to me. This is where I was born. Look forward to visiting this planet with the Lumas every 100 years. Luma that's been traveling with you may also grow up to become a star someday. Some Lumas become planets, some become comets, and a few become power stars. Good to know. I'm traveling with them while they look for a place to be reborn. Like Monster Reborn, Yu-Gi-Oh reference. Never thought all this would happen. Wow, Mama must really trust you. Well, how about this? What the fuck? Oh, I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this power up. It holds the power of the red Lumas. Does it fly after you spin in midair? Yes, fly! You know what's crazy? They have this power in the Mario Galaxy movie. It's really funny. If you're wondering when they use it, I believe it's just at the end of the movie. So it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's also kind of interesting. Kind of hard to fly with this thing, by the way, because it always wants to recenter itself. Ah, fuck. The fuck? I dislike this camera angle. Please don't tell me the power up runs out. I swear to God if the power up runs out. Got it. No, I do not want to fly. I just wanted to... No, 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 no. Ah, fuck, it's gonna run out. Okay, it comes back. We're good. Also, does this unlock something for me? I feel like this can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna trust you, and that's it. I can't fucking see. I can't fucking see. Oh my god, why is this like the worst camera angle in existence? But yeah, honestly, I'm kind of curious about watching the movie. It seems, yeah, again, it seems interesting. Like, I wonder if the person who's portraying Michael is actually going to be, like, good enough to dance like him, if that makes sense. Because, you know, his dancing is very iconic and very unique. Even though people could, you know, copy the moves, they don't have the same style. Bit. Yeah. Oh. Bet. Anyway. I don't know. I just thought I'd ask. Let's go. I'm curious what people think about these like random movies that are coming out. I have 69 coins. Nice. Get away. I really hate the camera angle in this area. Speaking of Michael, you know something I might have talked about this on stream, but you know what I saw somebody say recently, specifically about Michael Jackson? It's that Taylor Swift is bigger than him. And I'm like, no. Like, factually incorrect. $87. I got 13 more. I wish I could like get a good camera angle to see where these things are. Okay, they're probably all like right here. 5 more. There's 2. A toy. What's the last one? I can't fucking see. Where is it? Boop, thank you. Thanks for the boop. I can't see. Oh, it's running out. God, this camera angle actually pisses me off. Like, it's only here that it has a good camera angle. Where are you? Oh, it's right there. Red power star. Why is this game just have like random ass color stars? Because it has red stars, it has yellow stars, it has green stars. Does it have blue stars? Alright, what the fuck does this do now? Hungry Luma. Up by the bedroom? What? Oh. Both Michael and Tara are the same. Really? They're both 5'9"? That's interesting. That's actually really interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, this is the garden. Where did motherfucker at then? So I'm gonna say Taylor's 5'10". It's probably over here, right? Yeah. I guarantee you nobody knows because she wears heels often. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Got any tasty starbits? Feed me a bunch of starbits. I'll burst with happiness. How many? 1,200. Oh, that's fine. You can have them, buddy. More. Listen, by the way, I'm taller than Taylor and Michael. Thank you very much. Boo's Boneyard Galaxy. It's a cool name. Racing the Spooky Speedster. Look at him. Why don't they have this as an outfit for Boo in Mario Kart World?
Yes.
Surprised how tall Taylor is. Actually pretty tall. Like if you see her in like photos with people, she is above average male height. And well above average female height. So hereafter too, you'll have to race me for it. I don't know what it is, but I mean, okay. Here we go. Oh, ad break. Damn, I missed it. Oh, there's a little spring guys. That's cute. Bitch. I really like this song, how it's like just like an odd tempo of like the race music. Why am I stuck? Oh, that's the finish line. Oh shit. The fuck is 5075? Well, a promise is a promise. Thank you. Gimme. Take it already, motherfucker, I'm trying. Yeah. Does anybody remember how tall I am, by the way, speaking of height? $6'2", nope. Good guess, but nope. I am taller than Taylor, not 6'2". Six inches? How dare you? This place is cute. Can I leave? Or is it also it's the invisible walls? I am not 6 feet tall. Matter Splatter Galaxy. Wait, this name is familiar. I think it's just the name Matter Splatter. I am not 6 feet tall. I am 5'11". You know how tall Ran is? It's not the same height I am. Watch your step. Oh, that's a cool mechanic. They're like little balls. 8 feet is correct.
Yes.
Specifically, I believe if it's 8 feet 2 inches, but I don't wanna complain about losing 2 inches, because you know some people say 2 inches is a lot. Let me be honest. This is so cool. Like, I'm not even lying. This is a really cool like mechanic for this stage. Oh god, now this reminds me of Mario Odyssey. What the fuck? Nice shot. Shit. Okay. Alright, we're good. Oh my god. What the it's actually relatively kind of hard. Oh fuck. No, 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 no. No, no, no. If I die to this fucking magic Koopa, I'm gonna be really upset. I don't want to fucking take this thing. I think I have to, though. I don't like this. I was off center there. Like, actually. Okay, okay, okay. I hate Nintendo games and then making the little beep 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 noise when you're dying. Fuck! I hate this thing, it's so fucking jank. I get a lot of star bits though. Whee. Not as bad as Zelda. It is not as bad as old Zelda. Like if it's if it's like modern Zelda, it's like just a little bonk, bonk, bonk. But if it was like Ocarina of Time or like or older, then yeah, it's pretty bad. I kind of give you that life as if expecting you to fucking die. Also, the reason I say this is jank is because if you press the A button too early, you don't jump. Please reach. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Also, this stage is very green, or it was. Now it's very black. Whoa. It feels like a Mario Party minigame disguised as a Mario stage. How the fuck? What? How did he hit me when he was teleporting? This game is jank. This game is jank. Oh, wait, guys, I have news for you. Remember how I was trying to find a bunch of the legendary Pokemon in Pokopia? I found Suicune! I finally found Suicune! They're in my island, or my town now. Maybe next week we'll do a Pokopia stream just to like catch you guys up on how things are looking. Yeah, it turns out I was actually going to the wrong Dream Island for Suicune. I kept going to Clefairy one, right? Which was like the copper and seashells, I think. Turns out that one has no legendaries attached to it. I was just wasting my time. And once I found out the right island has legendaries in them, it took me like, I think 3 days of going to it. Deep dark. Oh wait, these are all previous stages, right? It looks like they're previous stages, just like made harder, if that makes sense. Because I think Matter Splatter Galaxy we did do already, but this was like a harder version of it. Yeah, we've done this stage already, haven't we? Are these all remix stages? Because if so, that's really fucking cool. Also, I saw the gold star up there. Fire! I feel like there's a reason they gave me this mushroom, so I'm gonna pick up all the star bits that I can find and see. I love the music. Like, it's not the same like Mario music for Power-Ups, but I still like this song. Bye-bye. Thanks for the one-up, bitch. Ow. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Ruby, hi Ruby. Did you see the FanFest keynote or whatever the fuck it's called? I'm pretty sure you were in a 14, right? Did you see it? You're excited? That's good. I also watched it even though I don't really play. It has given me the curiosity that maybe I will eventually get back to it. If I can find a good enough, like, group of friends to play. More customization. Now listen. More customization, but there's no butt slider. For those of you that are wondering, that was a joke. So if you know anything about video games, right? People want to customize everything. They want to customize face, they want to customize your tits, they want to customize your ass. So people have been begging the developers or 14 to add more customization options. Well, they did. And the speaker that was like translating the developer like asked them like, is there a butt slider? And he was like, not yet. He either said not yet, like for real, just to like bait people, or he never said not yet, and that was just the translator trying to tease the audience. Yeah, that's cool. Listen, the moment they add a butt slider to it's definitely one of the two, but we'll never know. I guess we'll never know because we don't speak Japanese. People that speak Japanese might already know. But it was oh yeah, it was 2 hours of greatness, like legitimately for people that are fans. Where the fuck am I going? Starbit. No speculation on the new tank. I mean, it was the dude in his shirt, wasn't it? It's the dude with 2 shields. Are you talking about like what role they play? Yeah, like people. Yeah, like it's not even like speculation. If they're assuming it's the motherfucker that's on the shirt. I saw this. I wanted to check it out. Yeah, I would be surprised if anybody has speculation about the fucking DPS that they're adding. That would be a bigger reach. Let's see. Anyway, Greeny Star Eyes, you're still at a rubber board? What the fuck? What do you mean by reading story-wise? Like, are you trying to reread the entire story right now? Is that what you're telling me? Oh, you skipped the majority. Oh, you story skipped the majority. That's fair. Well, the good thing, I'm not even joking, the good thing is, not a spoiler, but just to let you know, story-wise, everything Endwalker and below has nothing, technically, to do with everything and, everything post-main story and above in Endwalker. The reason why I'm telling you is you don't have to worry about like, oh, I have to catch up on the story before Evercold comes out, because you don't gotta do that. Because the story up until Endwalker was one contained story, and the story ended when Endwalker's MSQ ended. What an idiot. And Dawn Trail and now Evercold are now its own like new story. If you want a comparison as to what that means, imagine Endwalker is Avengers Endgame, and everything after, and Dawn Trail and above is everything after Avengers Endgame. Now that also doesn't really matter because, you know what's funny? I recently heard online that Avengers Doomsday is actually going to pick up exactly where Avengers Endgame left off. And people are assuming that that means that all of the bullshit, like multiverse stuff and all the characters and all the movies that people hated are technically just gonna say, be like, yeah, these characters don't exist, don't worry about them. They're just gonna retcon themselves out of the MCU and be like, hey, these characters don't mean jack. Which I think is funny if they actually do that. If they go that route, because that'd just be like the tip of the iceberg for me. I'd be so happy. Oh, that's a double shot. I didn't realize it. Die. Heidi Cruz, welcome in. How you doing? What brings you here? How did you find the stream? Looking for Mario? You're looking for I don't know, a VTuber that's playing Mario? I don't know. You love this game? You saw the movie? Nice. I have never played this game. I played 2, but never 1. Which you might be thinking, how the hell is that possible? It just is. Don't ask me how it's possible, it just is. You saw the movie? Yeah. I saw it day 1. But yeah, how'd you like it? Takes as long as I've been knuckling down doing it. Yeah, that's fine. I'll be honest, I probably don't remember all of the story. I'm not even joking. And it's not a matter of I skipped it, because I played through every single expansion. I did not skip anything. I'm not gonna lie, if a game kind of doesn't like wrap it up fast enough, which if it's an MMO, it's never going to. The Garden, yeah, we're near the end of the game. The star mine, I don't know, like 83 or whatever. I've gotten almost all of them. I kind of just got here, yeah. Yeah, like for the most part, I don't commit it to memory. I know roughly what the story is about for like every expansion, but I don't know like, oh, this story beat happens or this story beat happens or this story beat happens. Like I don't remember. It's what's his name? It's Wet Willie again. Kill Wet Willie. You like this galaxy? This seems like it'd be a pretty good galaxy for people. Bad shot. Ugh. I thought the Toad's just like sleeping behind that thing. I missed. There we go. Bye-bye. I know this isn't the end though, there's a cannon under him. God, I so often want to do like a dive or something. Is it worth it to come over here? I think it's worth it to come fire over here. No, what does it take? Bubble blast stuff, okay. Now, what is this? Tiny gateway galaxy it is. I was wondering what was going on. I'm like, why is this like effect happening? I'm deflating it. How the fuck does that happen? Ow. Oh god. Get me out. Bye-bye. I'll be back. Oh yeah, by the way, I remember you guys asked what was in the Mario movie from actual Mario Galaxy. I forgot. Gateway Galaxy's a thing. Yeah, it was in the movie. Bye-bye. Oh, thanks for the coin. Later, losers. Now, does this do anything for me? Doesn't look like it. Starman. No, it's pronounced Scatman. Thank you very much. It's a great song. Do I need this? Looks like I might need it. You motherfucker. The Rainbow Power Up by Starman? Yeah, I know that. Technically, it's not a Starman. There's no eyes to prove that it's a sentient item, like most Mario power-ups. So yeah, technically it's not a man, it's just Star. But yeah, Ruby, if you're doing it for the new expansion, you don't gotta, because it doesn't matter. But if you just want to remember the story, that's fine. Oh, I do need this. Okay, now this is Ice Flower. Go, 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 go! Alright, cool. I think we're at, yeah, we don't need the power up anymore. Whee! Bye-bye. Machine needs a bit of time I mean to. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Like, you don't gotta. If you wanna, that's great. Am I going the right way? I actually don't know. I think I am though. What the fuck? Gotta PvP on the 28th. Why? Why do you gotta do anything? glamlocked by PvP. Oh, you like the you like the items. Okay, what else to do? Yeah, I never did ranked. I just did PvP for like the dailies. I think there were some gloves that I wanted for the longest time from PvP, and I ended up getting them one time. They were cool. I think they were like not fingerless gloves. They were like, I guess if you want to say they're kind of like artist gloves, if you know the ones I'm talking about. This is a really cool stage, by the way. A lot of unique puzzles to do things. Excuse me. This work? The heck? Ow. Nope, it does not. No hints, by the way, D-Cruise. Don't do it. Don't do it. Ah, thank you. See, the game can tell me what to do. You don't gotta worry. This is a modern Nintendo game. It has the options of giving you hints. Oh, why did the China supposed to make the watermelon grow? That makes no sense. Look, we're making a watermelon like in Suika game. It is very weird, but I think it's funny. We made a Suika! Which, if you didn't know, Suika means watermelon. Jump in the air to ground pound mothers? Excuse me? Like actually? Ground pound mothers? Hmm? Am I wrong? Yes, that's true, right? What is it? Go. Oh my god, it's this fucking thing. Daredevil 2? Jesus. Shouldn't be that bad, actually. Oh, the boss fight. Oh, this might actually be really bad. It's the boss fight. Oh, they make me skip stuff. Okay, they make me skip stuff. We're okay. We're chill. They give me the checkpoint. We're chill. I can do boss fights hitless, don't worry. What's this person's name? It's not Magic Koopa and it's not Kamek. What's the female Magic Koopa's name? Is it like Camila or something? Fuck, you didn't turn around fast enough. I'm just scared I'm gonna get telefragged, I'm not gonna lie. If you don't know what telefrag means, it is, I believe, Quake term, where someone teleports into your body, killing you by exploding you from the inside. I hate that it auto-aims. Oh my god, I didn't realize it was a triple shot. It sounds pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my god, it almost teleported onto me again. Green, yes, green, thank you. Show your face. And die. Bye-bye. I always forget that these guys have power stars in their wands, and that's how they can cast their magic. At least this one can, I guess. We're at 87 out of, I'm assuming, 120. Is that it? No, that was just the comment. Good job. Thank you. Thank you very much. We did it. If I was Dora the Explorer, I said, Lo hicimos. Guppy in the Underground Lake. Guppy, like from Binding of Isaac? What? Oh, him. Good old Bruce, right? That's his name? The fish are friends, not food person.
Yes.
Ow. Underwater levels are not that bad. I think hitless levels are scarier than underwater levels. Where's my boy Guppy at? What up, Bruce? What, you again? You gotta be kidding me. You wanna run me out of this lake? You gotta get through all 8 rings. Any shells nearby? There is, in fact, a shell nearby. Oh, also, for those of you that are still somehow into the game, like me, did you guys see that they announced the next TCG Pocket expansion? That's kind of fucked up. Like doing what they did there. Meh. I'm a fish in my word. Take these. I did it. Yeah, I'm a bit of a gamer.
Oh, yeah.
That it? There's a secret star. Where? What stage has a secret star for sure? It's not gonna be the Daredevil run. Oh, it's the first stage. Is there something I gotta shoot at, maybe? Let's take a look. It's not that, is it? Yes, technically it could be. Let's see what's in here. Would it be something with getting all the coins? Mayhaps. It be not. Wee. Try the homes. Oh, I guess I could have tried the homes. Ooh, that might be an option. Oh, nice shot. Honestly, seeing all these starbits made me think, oh, there's got to be a hungry Luma somewhere, but I didn't see anybody. If that doesn't work, it might be. It might actually be the homes. We'll see. We'll try things. We will try. We will look around. And please games 2011. I have not played this game ever, so I'm just testing things. Let's just look around. What do you got to say, Nerd Toad? Red 65 streak. Oh my lord. You're here every day, aren't you? Oh wait, idea. But anyway, welcome in, Red. Could it be killing you, maybe? Nope. It is not, in fact, killing that. There's nothing down here then, which is weird. I mean, there's nothing anywhere here. There's no entrance, there's no nothing. Maybe the water. I never checked the water in the ship itself. Maybe it's here. But the shrunken ship? I don't know. I just saw me walk up to it, nothing happened. Is there water here that I can fall in? There is. Maybe this? What's this? It's just starved, so probably not this. Look around. No hints? Nope. No helpers. No, there's never any hints for the secret star. A lot of times it's just this mundane thing that you might see or not see. Did we ghost hunting? Okay, follow me. Has to be in the water. I don't know if it has to be underwater. How the fuck did you not die? There we go. Yeah, I don't see that it has to be underwater. Not that. It's not in the actual boss fight, I guarantee you that. Want to look it up? I mean, I might, but I don't want anybody to do it for me. Idea? Hang on. If I want to look it up, I'll look it up. Don't worry. This is a baby game for babies. I should be able to figure out what's going on. I hit that thing, I'm curious. It shouldn't be this, but I'm curious. Yeah, I was like, I figured it shouldn't be that. Is there a spot I'm just missing somewhere? Did you just kill the entire ecosystem? Ah! Have at thee! My joints are starting to ache right now, I don't know why. How does Mario not get dizzy? Takes a lot of Dramamine, I guess. Can I even get up here? Like, could it be up there? This shouldn't be able to be up there, right? Because I can't even get up there. Alright. It's not up there. Stop telling me hints. I'm trying to figure it out and you're not helping. I know you like the game, but let me play. Thank you. It's not that, because that just has a fucking life in it. That's nothing. What do you got for me? Nothing. Could it actually maybe be that thing? Oh. I was gonna kill everything just to prevent mass genocide being the answer. Ow. Let me kill you! Fuck you. Star bits. Okay, it's not mass genocide again. I just wanted to figure that out. Alright, fuck it. Ow, I'm gonna look it up. Do not. Don't you dare fucking tell me. I want to find out by looking it up. I don't want you telling me. I'm actually genuinely curious. Ugh. Yeah, I wasn't getting that. Also, you spoiled it for me by trying to hit to me earlier, so I don't appreciate that. I apparently have to destroy one of these things, but which one? Not this one. Probably that one? Assuming that's why there's bombs around it? Sure enough, that's why there's bombs around it. I was thinking about it, I was like, why is there just bombs around that thing? But again, you spoiled me, I don't like that. I was wondering, when the hell am I gonna get in this thing? Ow, fuck this guy. Brother, boo, stop, get away. How do I mess with the gravity? I see these things up here. But that is. The camera angle doesn't work for me here. Jesus Christ. trying to figure out what direction I have to hold the joystick when I break out of that block, by the way. Oh my god, I fucking hate this thing. Any way to kill this thing? Is there any freaking... any sort of like kill thing that I can do here? I'm gonna fucking die to this fucking thing. God. Okay, I was gonna get really upset if this thing actually killed me. Get away, please. Like, actually, just get the hell away. God, he's so annoying. I hate enemies that you just can't kill in a video game. Because they're just there to be a nuisance. They're not there to actually be a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Next. That's it. That's it. Let's go to the next one. Dreadnought Galaxy. This one looks pretty cool. Looks like a Kingdom Hearts ship. Why does this still feel like it's like just like a remix stage? It is a remix stage, isn't it? This very much feels like a remix stage. What the fuck are these things? They hurt? They do hurt, okay. And I couldn't really tell, I'm not gonna lie. They looked almost like tractor beams. Jesus Christ. Whee! You bitch. Oh my god, Mario, please. Oh, it is actually this song. I was just saying it because I went to like a pipe. What are these things called? This little smiley sparky things? Are they amps? They're amps, aren't they? I hate waiting. This is pretty cool though. It's the same stage, just like getting slightly... Oh my god, I almost died there. You know, just getting different because of where gravity is. That's one thing I always thought was interesting about like the Galaxy games. And like the the whole like gravity changing mechanic is. If they have stages like that specific section there, like you have to make sure the platforming works in essentially 4 different ways. No fucking way. I was. Why is this falling off, by the way? Is the black hole getting bigger, or is the stage just deciding, yeah, fuck you? Yeah, looks like it's just, once I reach the next platform, the stage is like breaking. Whee! Look, it's a star. Look, it's a lot of bullshit. That's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool cutscene. It's a little too high to skip. I can probably do it here. No, doesn't look like it. Looks like they cheat-proofed it from me. There's some water there, so I need a bomb. There you are. Follow me! Oh! Uh-oh. Oh, these are reacting to me? That's what's going on. Also, I like how we just made the stage like more complete, if that makes sense. Rage, thank you for contributing more points. How close are we? The add timer frame is blocking it. We're like at 50%, aren't we? Almost forgot. Don't forget, if you're here, you're lurking. Don't forget to add channel points to that. We actually might not reach it because there's not enough people contributing the full 2K. Which I think means I chose a pretty good number for the time that I wanted to have it for. Ah, my back. Oh, thank you, Red.
Oh, yeah.
90. Hammer. That was only one. Oh my god, that was only 1 star. Dreadnought's Colossal Cannons. Listen, the only colossal cannons on streams are right here. Hang on, I gotta click for that. Right here. These are the only colossal cannons on stream. They're called Triple C's, Colossal Calcium Cannons. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. That's a little doggy, isn't it? It looks like a little doggy. Awooga. Also, these chain chomps are quite literally making the Super Mario Sunshine chain chomp noises. Little bark, 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 bark. Hi, it's hilarious. Sorry, did you see my tits on screen? I kind of just did it. That was by accident. I saw the joke and I took it. I'll be honest, not that I don't like this game. I think this game's too long. Like, I think the stages are too long. I'm getting burnt out of them. Like, I'm having fun, but like, God, these stages are so fucking long. Didn't catch it, just got it. Oh, okay, that's fair. No, this thing has the title Colossal Cannons, and like Colossal Cannons, these are Colossal Cannons. I just popped my tits on into the front of the stream. I thought it was funny. Maybe a little bit. Bye-bye. A lot of people prefer 2 over 1. I think even I prefer 2 over 1. They are colossal. Listen, they're Titanic. Thank you very much. Wait, what's bigger, the Titanic or Shadow of the Colossus? Also, 2 has Yoshi. That that automatically makes it a little bit better. I can't shoot them. Can I shoot these? I can. Gravity swap again? Oh my god. Also, the gravity swap doesn't make any sense in this stage. Because like, shouldn't the gravity be swapped towards the ship? Not just like randomly? Oh god. Oh my fucking god. That's mildly tilting, but I think hopefully we got a checkpoint. Did we? I think we did. Yeah, it's literally right here that I died. We're good. I refuse to fire a starbit because I do not want. I have 68 and I refuse to go down. God, this game really fucks with people that have depth perception, doesn't it? Also, this was right at the end when I died. I think that's some bullshit. Anyway, so how's your Friday going? And speaking of Friday, does anybody have plans for the weekend? Me, I unfortunately work.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a damn time I don't. Revenge of the Topman tribe. What about the Bottom Man tribe? Sorry, that was a really stupid joke. like, I think that was actually the stupidest joke I've made in a while. What's in here? It's another secret star. Hey buddy, you know how hard it is to keep a dreadnought clean? If someone comes around and drops a load of trash on the ammo depot? Hey, we have plenty of bombs. Maybe you could use them to blow up all this trash? Sure. I know how to do this. Gee, thanks. If you're wondering how to do it, you throw your bombs at the gold coin things. That might not actually reach. I think I might be fucked. Fuck! Just a little bit too far left. No plans for the weekend. That's good. Oh, you guys could relax. Me, I need to fucking sleep. You guys hear me yawning on all the time. Like, that's literally not because I'm tired. I'm just, or sleepy. It's lack of sleep. Like, legitimately. Who's here? Pro Pecky, hi, welcome in. Oh, there's the raid notification. Hi Pecky, welcome in, raiders. What's going on? Hi. I don't know what to say. My name is Rin Komori, for those who don't know. I'm a Dragon VTuber, do a lot of cozy things, a lot of Nintendo in particular. Hi Pecky, what are you up to today? Let me give you a shout out. Why are you guys spinning on me? What the fuck? Oh, you were playing mouse. Oh my god, you're playing Mouse PI. Oh my god, I want to play that game. Is it good? I saw Iron Mouse play it when it first dropped, and I honestly want to play it because I love like those kind of animated things. Anyway, who else was here? Who said hello? Rabbit Mask. Hi, Rabbit. It has been a while. How you doing? And Birdsea, you don't have to spin. It's okay. Use any spin you want. I don't care. It's awesome. I might buy it then. Shit. Because I saw it's like it's like Doom, right? Like the best way I can explain the way the gameplay is. It's like Doom. It's Doom with story between. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Oh fuck, I might play that next week. God damn it. Oh, but yeah, today I'm playing Super Mario Galaxy, the game that they made a movie about and they made a game tie-in. I'm near the end, so I don't know, spoilers if you haven't played it. Very chill for people who don't always want to run a gun. You know what's funny? I saw IGN's review of it complaining that like it's going for the noir aesthetic, just black and white, and complaining that it's not very noir enough, and I'm like, oh god, please shut the fuck up. I don't know, I saw that review and I'm like, they complained it was cliche. Yeah, like they complained about that. Yeah, it was like, oh, it's a game with a world of mice, so they have like a bunch of cheese references, and I'm like, yeah, what the fuck do you expect? They have no test. Yeah, so yeah, it's a parody, right? Like it's a love letter to Rubber Hose stuff and Steamboat Willie, I think in particular, right? But like people don't understand that the games are meant to be fun. If the game's not fun, don't fucking play it. Anyway, Pecky, I understand it might be late for you, so if you have to raid and run, please do so. I'll be here for a couple hours playing my Mario, which is nothing like Doom but noir. You should work at IGN and show them what's up. Listen, if I work at IGN, and they're probably gonna ask me for my journalistic integrity to be just turned in on day one. Like it feels like if you work at IGN, like the very first thing they ask of you was, can you lie on the internet for money? And if you don't say yes, they don't give you the job. But oh my, but I've wanted to play that game. I'm not gonna lie. Ever since I saw Iron Mouse play it for like an hour, I wanted to buy it. But seeing that you're playing it and that you're saying it's awesome, oh fuck, I'm absolutely gonna buy it. But shit. There's also a game I saw It's because I follow the animator that made the I'm gonna die. Oh, we're okay. We're chill. Look at this. We're chilling. Please. Oh my. Oh. Can't fucking move. Oh my god, Mario, please. There we go. Anyway, what I wanted to mention was I follow the animator that made this game that's hitting the public eye. Jesus fuck. Jesus fuck. Oh my god. Nobody saw that. Please don't clip that. Nobody saw anything. We're just gonna pretend that never happened. That was, oh my god, that was so funny. Anyway, Jesus Christ. What I wanted to mention was there's a game on Twitter that I saw that I actually wishlisted, specifically because I saw it on Twitter, but because I was following the animator that made it. Oh my god, I can't do what I want to do. It's called Scarlet Skips, which if you haven't seen that on Twitter, it's apparently getting people really angry because it's a Gooner game, even though it's not. It's literally just a very simple game somebody made. It's a roguelike jump rope game, which is kind of funny to think about. But the animator has been posting like animation tests for the character that's in it, and it's just really cute. Please give me a code. Oh, thank fuck. Oh my god. Wait, if you guys haven't seen it, go look it up on Steam. It's literally, I don't even think the game's out yet. But yeah, it's just, it has a pretty red head. There's apparently story to this. Apparently she's just bored and wants to do something, and so what does she decide to do? She decides to jump rope. That's literally the story of the game. And you just jump. You jump when the jump rope hits you. It's literally the Mario Party minigame, but as a roguelike. And it just looks really cute. It's super basic, and people are complaining like, brother, after like a AAA game like Silksong or something, who the fuck is gonna buy a piece of shit like this? Not realizing that this is exactly what indie should do, you know? Fucker. I hate these guys. I hate these guys. I hate these guys. I hate these guys. But yeah, it's again, it's a really simple concept. Hang on, I gotta fucking turn off my blue light filter. I just noticed the screen turned red, and it's not in anger. I promise. Okay, we're good. Jesus Christ. It was cute. And see what they mean by the Gooner though. The free seg was Get and Booba. Again, that's just the person. Yeah, I pressed the wrong fucking button. But yeah, it's not. It's just yeah. It's just normal. No, they're not even. It's funny because they're not even complaining about the story cuts, the quote unquote story opening cutscene. They're complaining because the character who has Booba has jiggle physics when she jumps. And I'm like, okay, do you not want a person that has boobs have physics? Because they're responding to like a news article that's talking about it, and the news article doesn't actually show the beginning where it shows the butt shot and the chest shot. It just shows the actual gameplay loop. But yeah, I've been following that artist for a while. They were showing off expressions tests, I guess, a year or two ago. And it's just cute. Shit. Animation is cute. It does look really cute. and it looks like a very simple game. I don't know. I'm following it now after I follow a lot of things because of people giving things a hard rap when it looks honestly pretty good. So like I've followed that because people are complaining and just giving it eyes. I'm like, oh shit, this looks pretty cool. So I put that shit on my wish list. The birds in the background, yeah. But like, it honestly, like that kind of a game reminds me of like, what's the game? Unfair Flips, if you've heard of that one, which is literally, it's technically not a roguelike, but it's a game where you're flipping a coin, and your goal is to get 10 heads in a row. And every time you get heads, you get money. So like you have to earn like power-ups to get more money per flip and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But like it's a really simple concept, but like apparently, you know, simple concepts are fucking addicting. But yeah, if none of you guys have seen Unfair Flips, go look that shit up. Like right the fuck now. You would scream. Oh, it's a really funny game. I think there's, from what I understand, five endings to that game, surprisingly, which is kind of crazy to think about. Because like you'd think like, oh, what, you get 10 flips and you get 10 heads in a row. That's the ending. Yes, but there's more endings to that. Hey, you need 80. I don't have 80. I'm sorry. Can I get more before I leave? Can I get someone to come back? I don't think so. Okay, so now I know I need to get more. Oh, wait. 77. Any more down here before I can go too far? Oh, please let there be more. Please? Please? Anybody got Starbits? Nah, no Starbits. I have to come back. That's fine. Have to hit the bed. There's no chat again. If you ever want to chat just off stream, you can feel free to send me I don't know, send me a DM on Twitter and we'll, I don't know, chat on Discord or something. I don't know. Good night, though. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the raid. Whee. Wait, we haven't done this stage, have we? Ah! Whee. I needed 3 more star bits. I'm upset. Bing, 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 bing. Ooh-hee. Ooh. Run. Oh my god, I didn't take damage because I actually triggered the the cutscene. Oh Mario, run Mario. Oh, thank you. We're good. We're okay. Also, this song got me copyright claimed on fucking YouTube because some asshole probably sampled the song and claimed it. Pissed me off. Run, Mario! Just fucking run! Wow. Mario! Okay, I gotta do the stage again, and I need to get 70 star bits before I leave the main area. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Hungry Luma! Right outside the garden. That's fine. We'll do that later. I don't want to do the comet. Oh, I want to get the secret star, but I guess they make me do the comet when it's there. It's gonna be that same stage, but just speedy comet, right? Oh, it's the boss fight speedrun. That's fine. Do they give me a checkpoint, or is it just the actual full stage? It's the full stage, okay. Wait, wasn't it supposed to be a green one up here? Oh, there is. Please come up here, thank you. Wahoo! Yippee! Wahoo! Yeah! How was my Chris Pratt impression? Or was that better than Chris Pratt? What do you think? Transform! 11 out of 10? Alright. You think I could pass for Chris Pratt? Also, I saw a recent news article that Miyamoto commented on Donald Glover wanting to be Yoshi. Because he was like, seriously, does he know that that Yoshi only says the word Yoshi? Like literally, like his response was like, does he understand that he's only gonna say one word? Hi Luigi. Ooh, 25 stream. Oh my god. Oh no, it's this again. But then Miyamoto was like, he did pretty good. And you know what? With him only saying the word Yoshi, we could just have him be the voice of Yoshi in every single release that we do. So Donald Glover is the voice of Yoshi in English, in Spanish, in Japanese, in Italian, in whatever they've released, you know? And I think that's really funny. Which makes me think, isn't that how Vin Diesel is with Groot? Or do they have like different actors for different languages? Because, you know, they have to say like Yo soy Groot in Spanish. And other things in other languages, or does he just say them? Watashi wa Groot desu. Things like that, you know? Sorry, kore wa Groot desu. I think that's what he would say. Not watashi wa. I think you say kore wa. Fucking hell. Bloody hell. Fuck you. Thanks for the health, a loser. A loser. That was really easy, actually. Back. My capture card keeps freezing. I wonder why. It might just be my computer. My my back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we still have that one star to get the secret one. Oh, this is just a shortcut, but I think it's a secret star, right? Let's see, does it show it? It should, right? Was it... Oh, no, not Dreadnought. It was Melty Molten. I screwed up. It was Melty Molten Galaxy. I almost was like, the fuck? What stage am I on? Is that a brain aneurysm or something? I don't know. Good lord. We'll go back here. I need to remember to get 70 star bits. Which means I gotta break all of these. Honestly, just by breaking these I should have enough. Because like the little spiral from the volcano does pretty good too. Okay. Okie dokie. Also, I saw something on Twitter and I think it's fake, but I don't know what to believe. And it was comparing Black Cat from Spider-Man Miles Morales, I believe he came out in. No, Spider-Man 2. And Marvel Rivals. And does she actually have a fat fucking ass in Marvel Rivals, or is that a mod? Can anybody confirm or deny that Black Cat has a fat fucking ass in Marvel Rivals? Or is it not as... It's 80? Oh, I know. I can get more though. We're chill. I thought it was 70. We're chill. Don't worry. We're okay. I'm asking for Reacher's purposes, don't worry. I'm asking for a friend, the friend being me. I realized something too. When I get to the next Hungry Luma, I'm gonna mention it. But I just realized something when I was in that feeding frenzy for him. A new planet was born. Jesus Christ. Oh, it's silver stars, okay. How the fuck did I miss? Fuck. You know, I've been recently thinking there's a piece of old Zelda fan fiction, technically. I don't know what to say, but fan productions that has just become lost media to me because I've never been able to find it, and I don't know if you guys are gonna understand what I'm saying. It was a fan production of the original, I think 2 Legend of Zeldas, where it just follows Link like just being like fucking done with the villagers being stupid and like just giving cryptic ass hints. And all I remember from that is one of the characters, I think their line in the actual game is like, me feel mad at the waterfall or something, right? In English. And the character in the video, the production was saying that, and Link just goes, "What?" And then they just keep repeating the line like in the NPC they are. And then the very last thing that happens before the video ends is Link just goes, "All right, bitch, I've had enough. Prepare for this stingray," and just fucking stabs her with the Master Sword. And I've never been able to find this piece of media ever since I saw it the first time. What am I doing? Do I need the fire flower? I'm really confused right now. Like, already really confused. Do I use this guy? Is that what I do? Oh my god, it is. That's really cool, actually. Oh my god. Oh, how the fuck do I do that? I guess no long jump, just regular jump? Is that what I gotta do then? Yeah, I guess that's right. Don't be fancy with it, I guess, is what they're trying to teach me. What's the phrase? Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Or if you want to be nice, it's keep it simple, sweetie. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Fuck. Hang on. I just realized I messed one over here. How did I know? Ah, just a feeling. Double tap. Oh god, do I need a bomb of some kind? I'm gonna kill these guys then. Fuck, I do. Oh my god, this worked. Oh my god. Oh wow, that was really cool actually. Gaming. Bet y'all never seen gaming like this and y'all fucking... Oh no. If you're wondering why I died, it's because this controller you have to hold straight vertically, otherwise you just fucking go forever. I hate doing this with the Pro controller, by the way. Because if I was doing this with Joy-Cons, this would be easy as fuck. I'm doing this on a pro controller. It's kind of awkward, if you might imagine. I'm just gonna go fucking full steam ahead. Go, 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 go. It kind of worked. Shit. It kind of fucking worked. Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm stretching. Fiery Dino Piranha. Thank you, Tano. Wait, it's a second Dino Piranha fight? They have this one in Super Mario Galaxy 2 as well. I think they have both. I got hit by the fire penis. Uh-oh, very good. Just the way to go. I think so. I think I have to kill them all because I don't see a way forward. Also, shout out to Way Forward for creating the beautiful Shantae. Does it kill everything? It's not? Or did I not kill everything yet? I didn't kill everything. Fuck. It was, in fact. The answer was murder. Or, as they say it in Scotland, mearder. Oh my god. I'm fucking gaming. Gaming out of my fucking gourd right now. Uh-oh. I lost my gaming license. Just kidding, still gaming. Not too late. You are at the tail end, but you're not like missing the entire stream. How you doing? Oh god, oh my god, I didn't realize it was a launch star. I will keep my star bits. I don't need it for the boss. How are you doing then? How was work today? Bonk. It's a fiery Dino Piranha. Gotta make it nice. Yeah, of course. I love when everybody makes it. I am glad that your new job allows you to catch at least a little bit. Get home pretty late. Ooh, that's always nice. I wish I could ever go home early at work. That'll probably never happen for me for, I mean, for a while. Not forever, but just for a really long time. Bonk. Ooh. Got him. Yeah. Ah. God.
Yeah.
Are we done? No. Oh yeah, wait, there's somebody outside. How do I leave this place? Is this the exit? Sure is. Alright, so the Hungry Luma thing that I figured out while I was on the other stage. If you look at the reticle, it actually fills in on the actual reticle when you're like filling them up. Just like look at the center of the reticle, it's gonna fill up. I didn't notice that for like the longest time. It's pretty cool. It's a neat little detail. Transform! Snowcap Galaxy, okay. Ugh. Star bunnies in the snow. Not snow bunnies in the star? Okay. Did I say star? I meant stars.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm holding down and I'm going up. I hate the camera angle sometimes. Thank you. Let's play chase. Can you catch us all before time runs out? Sure I can. Oh, that's right, I can do this. Does this actually do anything? Does this give me? It does give me a fire flower, so I do have to do that. Go, go, go! Catch his ass! Oh, I see where another one is. I see where another one is. In here, bitch. You're stuck. Loser. Last one. I don't know where the last one would be, I'm gonna be honest. Oh, hole. Not every hole's a goal. Break this with this. Shit, I can't. Oh my god, I'm not gonna find him. Ain't that some bullshit that I just lose because I just don't know where he's at? Motherfucker. Don't tell me this fucking cost me a life now. They fucking kill you if you don't... Oh, what the fuck? I wish I could do this without having to talk to them first, but... I guess we have to. Oh my god, there he is. That pisses me off. Hate this. I fucking hate this. Took me a minute to unlock the fire flower. I hate this. Okay, that's one. Can I make them fall into the hole? I can, okay. Jesus, that was a lot of hits right there. Please. Fall in the hole. We're good. Please, catch him. Oh, thank God. Oh my God. That's upsetting. Power Star. Wait, I need to go talk to Toad. I haven't found the Luigi Star in a while now that I think about it. But 99. Need one more. Where do I get one more at? Oh, okay, so I got all the Ouija stars already. Did I do everything in the garden yet? Let's go find out. Oh God, Mario! 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 What the fuck? Mario! Alright, did I find everything here? Done, done, done. Oh, 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 oh! It's a comet, but the comet's not there yet. How do you unlock the comets? I thought you just did them. I remember before. I know in Super Mario Galaxy 2 you need a comet medal to get a comet star to spawn. There's something over here, remember, that talks about comets. Oh. We might actually just have to finish the game right now. And just continue the 100% later. Because everything's done besides, looks like comets. There's no prankster comet anywhere. It says, oh, you want me to move it? Where the fuck is it? It's nowhere. Alright, let's go to the center of the universe. We're finishing the game tonight. Or like, the story, that is. Off we go! Look at this cutscene. Look at this beautiful 480p cutscene. You can taste all the pixels. Egg. She made her spaceship into an egg. Ugh. Excuse me. There's a warp field inside the castle. Go! They are inside. He just said, go Mario. We're in Bowser stage. One stage is still just picking a stage. The fate of the universe. Bowser's Galaxy Reactor. I like this gravity mechanic. Also, this music kind of reminds me of A Link to the Past, Hyrule Castle specifically. L. L is for Luigi. Whee! And they left. Oh my god, Lyra, hi. Thanks for the lurk. I haven't been expecting you to be in stream anytime soon. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. I'm at the end of the game, so no spoilers. Please run away. I know you didn't want spoilers. I love you too. Yeah, we can talk later, don't worry. You don't have to mute, just don't look. You watched Ben Drown copy pasta. I don't see what's so popular about it. Like, I understand it's one of the first like big gaming copy pastas, but like it's, I don't know. It's whatever, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's because I only saw the video of it and not like the like, what's the word, story that came alongside it to give it more info. Oh, this is really cool. Oh, I like this. Ow. Oh shit, they're actually disappearing. Gotta run. They're giving you a lot of star bits right now. Why if that means they give you a hungry Luma once you finish the game? Mario, go Mario! Now I'm curious, for those of you that can hear me that are not busy with something, have you guys ever listened to the song Hey Mario? Damn it, I couldn't jump. Oh my god, Mario was stuck holding his ass, I couldn't jump. Ow, you've not? It's actually not a bad song. It's a Bowling for Soup song, which if you don't know anything about Bowling for Soup, they're a pretty cool band. It's just a song about Mario and telling you, hey Mario, you don't have to deal with this princess that doesn't even give a shit about you. Like they're literally trying to tell you, bro, move on. She's not into you. Looking for Princess Peach? Too bad, cause she with me. I'm a baby. Mario. Yo, he stands up. Look at him. I'll be honest, I don't know if that song is sanctioned by Nintendo, but like they use some NES Mario sound effects in there. Give me this, please. Full health, baby. We're here. Mario! He has good hair here still. Finally! You got here just in time to excuse me. To see the creation of my galaxy in the center of the universe. I need to give it a Jack Black voice. Watch and weep! I'm Jack Black. First we mine, then we craft. Let's Minecraft. From this galaxy, I'll rule a great galactic empire with Peach by my side. It will last forever! I will rule every pitiful corner of the universe. So Mario, as you can see, I got big plans, and stomping you is at the top of my list. Sorry, I fell into shadow at the end, I don't know why. Wait, how do I beat him? What the fuck? This is a different mechanic than the every other Bowser fight we've had, by the way. Oh, the choir though. The choir's going in. I swear to God, I spun, but the game tells me I didn't. Who am I to argue with the video game? Next galaxy, or next planet, I guess. I see what I'm supposed to do here. This is a really well explained mechanic, actually. No, 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 no. Bitch. And break. Next. Now we're back to the original battle mechanic. No, we're not. That actually hit. Nice. Says Bowser. Thanks for the star bits too. Ah, I ran into them myself. Ooh. Aren't I a stinker? Get fucked, is that it? That's actually it? That wasn't that bad. He's fucking tweaking, look at him. And he's dead. He's falling into the lava of the star. And so long, Cave Bowser, kind of. Now he's really flaming. Sorry. Sorry. This is start number 100, isn't it? Like, surprisingly, Armageddon, isn't this gonna be number 100? Oh, it is! What a nice ending. Number 100, nice even number. But I know I'm not done, I have 20 more, I'm assuming, because there's a couple galaxies that are not marked as complete. Oh, where's Peach? Mario! I fucking love this song. This song's great. It's way better than Gusty Garden Galaxy, let me be honest. Oh, that planet exploded. It's going supernova! Or is Bowser not dead? Phase 2, maybe? Is it actually a phase 2? He's had one too many, guys. It's okay, just leave him alone. He'll tire himself out eventually. My galaxy, my empire, this can't be happening. What am I fighting for? Sorry. Supernova! Actually, supernova. Oh, they're fucking dead. Oh my god, they're being drawn into a black hole. They're actually fucking dead. What the fuck? Oh my god, that's... Oh my god, Bowser Jr. is actually dead. That's his ship. Luma! No! What the fuck is this ending? What? It's actually a pretty sad ending. They're fucking suiciding into the technically a black hole, I guess. Oh my god, it's actually a black hole. What the fuck? Isn't that technically what the diagram for dark matter looks like, or like a black hole wormhole? What the fuck? He's got science all over it. What the fuck was that? Also flashbang. It's a baby. Mommy? She's big lady. Do you hear the baby stars? These newborns will grow up to become galaxies someday. I think Mario died. He's just seeing his favorite thing before he dies. When stars die, they turn to stardust and scatter across the cosmos. Eventually, that stardust reforms to create a new star, and so the cycle of life continues. It's the circle of life. Sorry, Lion King. But the cycle never repeats itself in quite the same way. So, you'll see. I like how both this game and Futurama both understand the concept of a new universe being born is never exactly the same as the old. Oh. So let's go Minecraft villager up in here. Victory above. Thanks for the follow. How you doing? How's your Friday? Got any plans for the weekend? What brings you here? You like Mario? You like dragons? What brings you here? It's Guppy! I saw Guppy down there. That's Bowser Jr. Where's Bowser at? Did Bowser just fucking die? It's Dino Pete or Dino Piranha. There's Bowser. What the fuck? What's going on? Are we friends? Oh, look, it's a blue star. Yes. All new life carries the essence of stars. Even all of you. Ah, I get it.
Welcome! Welcome, new galaxy!
I fucking love that line. Welcome to Galaxy. Cinema. Cinema. Absolutely. I see why this game's so goated, so beloved. Can I skip this actually? I cannot. Even after this game being remastered, they don't allow you to skip the what do you call it? Credits. But so I don't know when I'm gonna start Super Mario Galaxy 2, but I will. Play this on the Switch? I am. Take a look. It is specifically the HD bundle they released when they announced the release date of the Mario Galaxy movie. You didn't know they did that? Yeah. They re-released it in HD, but if as you saw with the cutscenes, they can't really increase the quality of the cutscenes because those are pre-rendered. Need to play my Switch again? Yeah. There's a reason I play a lot of games on the Switch, because there's a lot of good games on the Switch. Oh my god. I just opened up Twitter and I saw a fucking Twitter post. I hope this is satire, but somebody posted with the Final Fantasy 14 thing that I talked about. It was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is the first 14 expansion without Charlie Kirk with the broken heart emoji. And I'm like, I swear to god, I hope this is satire. But I mean, people are entitled to believe what they want. Thought they only did the 3D All-Stars bundle? Yes, Galaxy 1, but not Galaxy 2. Wait, no. I believe so, yeah. Galaxy 1, but not Galaxy 2 on 3D All-Stars. But then they re-released Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 as a bundle in HD with Joy-Con support on Nintendo Switch 2. I think it works on both, but I'm not sure. But remember, you technically can't buy 3D All-Stars anymore because it was only for the 35th anniversary of Mario. Although I'm pretty sure I heard people say you can still buy it from Nintendo's own online store, if that makes sense. Because if that's true, that's kind of weird.
Thank you so much for playing my game.
Thank you so much for playing my game. These are new credits. The other ones were the old ones. Because you could tell these are way more HD. These are the brand new credits. Alright. I think we're going to stop once they get to the title screen. A new chapter. Purple comment has appeared. We'll take care of that later. We are at a nice, clean 100. Anyway, we will be finishing up here, though. I guess I need to get a little bit more rest for work, so I'm just gonna take a little bit early night. Where's my music at? No, I don't want that one. I don't want that either. I want this one. Anyway, that will be it for me for the week. I will be back next week as always. I think I'm gonna go one day of Mario Galaxy to finish up the game, because I'm pretty sure that's all I need is one more day. I could not, but we'll see. Thursday will be retro as always. I do plan to play probably Amplitude for the PlayStation 2. There's a chance I play something else. And then Friday I might go back to Pokopia to show you guys what I've done in the off time, because it's been, you know, now it'll be 2 weeks since I've shown it off on stream. So yeah, that'll probably be what I do next week. I'm not sure, depends what I'm in the mood for. But once I finish Mario Galaxy, I'll probably play I don't know. We'll figure that out. We'll get to that when we get to it. Thanks for this stream. Thank you guys for being here, especially you guys staying a little later than usual. Hopefully I made your work a little bit more bearable. Hopefully I made your night a little more cozy. And yeah, Thank you guys. Thank you Kropeki again for the raid. Anybody who came over from Pecky. If you like cozy Nintendo and other games, feel free to drop a follow. Other than that, I don't know. I'm just gonna head off. Not much else to say. So I'll catch you guys again next week, okay? I'll post the schedule as always on Sunday, okay? You guys have a good night, have a good weekend, stay safe, and yeah. I'll catch you guys next week, okay? Bye!